I never thought the end would start in a backyard with string lights and warm beer. But that's where it happened, where my wife, the woman I'd built a life with, turned to me with a smile and slapped me so hard the world fell silent. It was a Saturday night. We were at Greg's house, her coworker. Not someone I was close with, but Nora insisted we go. It'll be good for us, she said. We haven't done anything social in weeks. I was exhausted. Work had been brutal, and honestly, she'd been distant for months. Cold in a way I couldn't name. But I agreed. She spent nearly 2 hours getting ready. Hair straightener humming, makeup brushes clinking against glass. I asked if she wanted me to wear something better than jeans. She didn't even answer. Just walked out of the bedroom in a tight green dress she hadn't worn since our anniversary in Chicago, 2 years ago. That dress used to be for me. At the party, she vanished 5 minutes in. I ended up near the grill, talking with some guy from HR about his backyard chickens. My eyes kept drifting. I spotted her near the edge of the patio, laughing a little too loudly with a guy I didn't recognize. Tall, gym-built, too tan, white button-up open one button too far. He leaned in when she talked, touched her arm when he laughed. I walked over, keeping my tone light. Nora, going to introduce me? She barely looked up. Oh, this is Jake. We train at the same gym. Jake gave me one of those firm handshakes like he was auditioning to be alpha. Man, she's a beast with deadlifts, he grinned. She is, I said, smiling a little too tightly. Nice to meet you. Nora rolled her eyes. Don't start. That should have been the moment. The exact second I walked away and never came back. But I stayed. I didn't want to believe what I saw, the familiarity in her body language, the glint in her eye, the way she touched him like it was second nature. I tried to shake it off. Got another drink. Talked to people I didn't care about. Laughed at jokes I didn't hear. 10 minutes later, I walked back through the kitchen and saw them again. Her hand on his chest. His fingers brushing her jaw. I didn't shout. I didn't cause a scene. I walked up, steady and low-voiced. Nora, can I talk to you for a second? She didn't even flinch. Not now, she said. We're having a conversation. You're my wife. And then she did it. Walked up, looked me in the eye, and slapped me. Hard. My head turned. Someone dropped a drink. The music didn't stop, but everything else did. She stared at me like I was something stuck to her shoe. Don't you ever embarrass me again, she hissed. Jake smirked behind her. Like it was all a joke. I didn't think. I moved. My fist cracked into his mouth with a sound I still hear when I close my eyes. I felt his tooth give way. He stumbled back into the counter, blood blooming over his lip like a flower. Nora screamed. Hands pulled me back. Someone shouted. Someone said they were calling the police. But I didn't care. I looked at her, mascara running, shoulders stiff, breath shaking. Maybe with rage. Maybe with fear. I couldn't tell. You think making me small in front of people makes you big? I said. You just showed everyone who you really are. She didn't answer. I left. Walked out the side gate, keys already in hand. Drove without knowing where I was going. No music. No GPS. Just the hum of the tires and the sting on my face. I ended up at a gas station outside the city. The kind with buzzing neon and sticky floors. I sat in the lot for an hour, watching people come and go like nothing had happened. She'd humiliated me. For what? To look powerful? To make a point to some guy she met doing squats? That slap wasn't just disrespect. It was a signal. She didn't see me as a partner. She saw me as an obstacle. I wasn't crying. I wasn't screaming. I was unraveling, but quietly. I gripped the steering wheel, stared at my own reflection in the rearview mirror. I'm not a victim, I whispered. And in that moment, I believed it. I was destroyed, but not broken. Not yet. I didn't go home that night. I drove past our neighborhood, past the familiar streetlights and corner deli and the mailbox Nora always kicked shut with her heel. I couldn't face our house. Not with the air still full of her laughter and that man's blood. So I kept driving, like distance could shrink the memory. At some point, I pulled into the lot behind an old diner off Route 43. The neon buzzed weakly against the night sky, green letters that spelled out Mel's with one arm of the M flickering like a dying heartbeat. I didn't go inside. Just sat there in the driver's seat, engine off, windows half down, letting the summer air do nothing to cool the heat under my skin. My face still stung where she hit me. Not physically. It wasn't the slap. It was the meaning behind it. That smile right before her hand cracked across my cheek. That certainty in her voice when she told me not to embarrass her. She didn't hit me out of anger. She hit me to make a point. And it worked. My hands were still sore from punching Jake. A faint sting each time I curled my fingers reminded me I hadn't imagined it. That crack, the blood, it had happened. All of it had happened. Around 2 a.m., I called my brother. "Hey," I said, voice dry, shaky. "You up?" He sounded half asleep. "Yeah. You good?" "She hit me," I said, in front of everyone. "Then I hit the guy she's been with. I think she's been cheating for a while." There was silence on the line. "Where are you?" he finally asked. "Behind Mel's diner." He exhaled. "Come here. I'm still up. Don't go back there tonight." I did. I got there just before 3. He opened the door in basketball shorts and a faded college hoodie. No questions. Just handed me a towel, pointed to the shower, and dropped a pillow on the couch. I stood under the hot water for 20 minutes. My hands were shaking. Not from rage anymore. From something deeper. Something colder. It wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. She didn't hide it. That's what got me. She wasn't sorry. She looked proud. The next morning, we sat on his balcony, 2 mugs of coffee between us and nothing but the hum of traffic below. He didn't ask what happened. I didn't volunteer it. That was the unspoken agreement between us. When the wound is fresh, you don't dig. You just cover it and breathe. By afternoon, I checked my phone. 5 messages from Nora. None of them apologizing. Just, "You made a fool of yourself. You embarrassed me. We'll talk when you calm down." That was when I knew there was no coming back. I wasn't even mad. Not yet. Just still. I spent the day staring at the ceiling fan in Kyle's spare room. I couldn't stop playing it over and over. The slap. The silence after. Jake's stupid smile. The way people looked at me. Like I was the one who snapped. Like I was the one who ruined the party. That night, Kyle passed me a beer and said, "You don't have to explain it to anyone. Not even me." I nodded. "Thanks. You going back?" "I don't know," I said. "I think I have to. Not to fix anything. Just to see what's left." The truth was, I didn't know what I was looking for. Maybe I hoped she'd be there. Pacing, crying, explaining. Maybe I thought she'd say it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe I wanted her to say she made a mistake. But deep down, I already knew. The woman who slapped me in front of 20 people wasn't confused. She was confident. Certain. She wanted the world to know how little I meant to her. And still, some part of me needed to walk back into that house. Not to find her. To find myself. The man I used to be, before I became a joke in her private performance. I came back the next morning. Not to talk. Not to fix anything. Just to see what was mine and what wasn't anymore. Her car wasn't in the driveway. Maybe she was at work. Maybe with him. Maybe anywhere but here. I unlocked the front door and stepped into a house that still smelled like her perfume. Sweet. Sharp. Clinging to the air like it still owned the place. The living room looked exactly the same. Pillows where she always threw them. Her water bottle half full on the coffee table, gym bag by the stairs. It was like nothing had happened. But everything had. I didn't wonder. Didn't stall. I sat on the couch, opened her laptop, and took a breath. She never used a password. Said we didn't need secrets. I guess that was true, because everything was right there. Waiting. I searched her inbox. Nothing obvious. But one folder stood out. Personal, Brandon W. Not Brad. Not Jake. Brandon. She'd changed his name in her contacts. Hidden him in plain sight. I clicked. The first email was 2 days old. "Last night was wild. I can still feel you." Another one, a week back. "Ethan's party is perfect timing. He won't notice a thing." And then the one that did it. That reached into my chest and pulled out something I didn't even know I was still protecting. "Let's humiliate him a little. Just for fun." I stared at that line for a long time. Not moving. Not blinking. Just letting it echo. Fun. It was a game to her. I kept reading. Dozens of emails, photos, private jokes about me. One where she called me such a sweet idiot. Another where she bragged to her sister about how easy it was to fool me. Even her sister knew. Her friends. They laughed behind my back while I paid bills and did late grocery runs and fixed her flat tire last winter. She didn't just cheat. She performed it. She made it a joke. A group project. And somehow, I still didn't scream. Still didn't cry. I just sat there, ice settling in my chest, hands calm. This wasn't heartbreak. This was erasure. This was seeing the woman you married not as someone who drifted away, but as someone who chose to rip you apart for sport. After an hour, I stopped. Closed the laptop. Left it on the table like evidence at a crime scene. I didn't need more. The facts were simple. Her name was Nora. His name was Brandon. And I was the punchline. She came home like she always did, late, casual, acting like nothing had cracked. Coffee in one hand, phone in the other, sunglasses still on despite the fading sun. She pushed the door open with her shoulder and barely glanced at me. "You're home," she said. No warmth. No apology. Just a flat observation, like commenting on the weather. "Did you cool off?" I didn't respond. Just turned her laptop toward her on the coffee table, the screen still glowing. The email thread was open. Brandon W. Her words. The one I'd read at least 10 times already. Let's humiliate him a little. Just for fun. She didn't flinch. Didn't gasp. She just blinked once, then set the coffee down and folded her arms. "So," she said, "you finally looked." My voice came out low, steady. "How long?" She shrugged. "Few months. Give or take." "That's not an answer." She sighed. "You want the truth?" It started small. Gym jokes, long texts, a few drinks. Then one night, it wasn't small anymore. And it felt right. More right than anything between us has felt in years. I didn't move. And humiliating me in front of a crowd? That part of the thrill, too. Her mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. "You were always so safe. So boring. Always working, always fixing, always in control." I needed to feel wild again. Brandon gave me that. "You didn't. You planned it," I said. The slap. The look. "You wanted the reaction." She nodded slowly. "I did." And just like that, something inside me stopped trying. No more questions. No more begging for context. I walked into the hallway, opened the coat closet, pulled down the old black suitcase. She followed. "You're actually packing? Come on. Don't be dramatic." "I'm not," I said, folding shirts into the case. "I'm done." She leaned on the doorframe. "Where will you even go? Kyle's?" "What? You gonna crash on a couch like some heartbroken teenager?" "If that's what it takes." She scoffed. "You'll come back. You always do." I zipped the bag and looked her in the eye. "Not this time." Her voice hardened. "You're seriously throwing this all away?" I paused. "You already did. I'm just taking what's left and leaving." She looked like she wanted to say something more, maybe to dig again, maybe to hurt. But nothing came. Just silence. At the door, I stopped. One last sentence. "You didn't break me, Nora. You freed me." Her arms dropped. For a split second, her face changed. Like she hadn't expected that. Like she thought she still had power. But I didn't give her the satisfaction of staying to see her reaction. I walked out. The sun was setting. I drove with the windows down, the suitcase in the backseat, the echo of our final conversation still hanging in the air like dust. I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the way I had been. That fire had cooled into something sharper. Clearer. At Kyle's, he opened the door without a word. Just nodded, let me in, and tossed me a spare key. That night I sat on his balcony with a beer, watching headlights crawl along the freeway in the distance. I thought about all the years I gave to her. All the things I forgave. All the times I looked the other way because I believed in what we had. But what we had wasn't real anymore. Maybe it hadn't been for a long time. And now? Now I had proof. Words. Pictures. Her voice and messages she never expected me to hear. The truth laid bare, without defense, without shame. And I had walked away from it. Not for revenge. Not for pride. For peace. And for the first time in years, I felt the beginning of it. I stayed at Kyle's for a week. 7 days on a futon that creaked every time I turned. The first few nights, I barely slept. Not because I missed her, but because everything in me was too loud. The slap. The emails. The way she looked at me like I was a problem, not a person. Kyle never asked questions. He just passed me a beer each evening and said things like, "Let me know if you want to talk," knowing I wouldn't. His apartment was small, 2 rooms, no TV in the bedroom, no distractions. Just walls and air and silence. And that was exactly what I needed. During the day, I worked from his kitchen table, answering emails like nothing had shattered. Nights were slower. I watched reruns of shows I barely remembered, let the dialogue wash over me like white noise. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just existed, floating on the surface of my own life. By day 5, something changed. I caught myself humming while making coffee. Just for a second. Then it stopped. But I noticed. That was the moment I knew I was ready to go back, not to her, not to us. Just back to the house. To collect the last pieces of me that still lived there. She wasn't home. The key still worked. The place smelled like her shampoo. Lavender and something synthetic. I moved through the rooms without touching anything at first. Just walking. Noticing. The dent in the wall we made moving the couch. the chip plate still in the sink, the laundry basket overflowing with gym clothes. Then I started packing. Deliberate. Focused. I took my clothes, watch, passport, work files, my old guitar from college, the small blue box where I kept every anniversary card I'd written her, most of them unopened. I didn't cry over that. I just added it to the bag. In the bedroom, I opened the bottom drawer of the nightstand. There was a note, folded in half, my name on the front, her handwriting. I hesitated, then read. If you're reading this, I guess you finally left. Maybe you want me to beg, but I won't. We were done a long time ago. You just didn't see it. You're a good guy, but good gets boring. Brandon might not be perfect, but at least he made me feel something. I hope you find someone who fits your little safe world. I never did. I didn't react, didn't rip it, didn't throw it. I just folded it back up, dropped it in the trash, and zipped my suitcase. On the way out, I literally bumped into her at the front gate. She was getting out of his car. Brandon's lip was still swollen, a bandage across his face, crooked and cheap. She wore sunglasses again, like that would still give her some kind of power. She saw the bag in my hand and smirked. Oh look, the runaway returns. I didn't respond. You done with your tantrum, she said. I stepped a little closer. Calm. Quiet. My voice low. This isn't a tantrum, Nora. This is the last time you'll ever speak to me like I'm beneath you. Brandon laughed behind her. Still punching people? Tough guy? I looked at him, measured. You still talking with one tooth less? His smile disappeared. She turned toward the door, saying, let's just go inside. He's not worth it. I could have walked away, but I leaned in one last time, voice colder than I knew I had in me. You didn't break me, Nora. You freed me. She paused. For the first time, she looked unsure, like she hadn't expected me to be stronger now. I didn't wait for a reply. Just turned, walked back to my car, and drove away. No yelling, no begging, just silence. And that silence? It was starting to feel like peace. It had been almost 3 months since I last saw her. Not in court, not through a screen. I mean, really saw her. In the flesh, in the same air. No filters, no lawyers, no walls between us. I was just grabbing dinner. Cheap steak, some frozen broccoli, bread. My cart squeaked with every turn, but I didn't care. Life had become quieter, smaller, but real. And I liked it that way. Then I turned the corner in the frozen section, and there she was. Nora, hair tied back loosely. No makeup. Sweatpants and an old hoodie I didn't recognize. She was struggling with a frozen pizza box, trying to jam it into an already full cart. Alone. No Brandon. No crowd. No mask. She looked up, and our eyes met. For a moment, nothing moved. Then she stepped forward, cautious. Unsure. Hey, she said. Her voice was softer than I remembered. Not weak. Just worn. Hey, I replied. She looked thinner. Not Jim thin. Hollow thin. Like something had drained her, and she hadn't yet figured out how to refill. You look good, she said. Thanks. A pause. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, something she used to do when she was nervous at family dinners. Still the same gestures, but none of the same weight. I heard you blocked my number, she said. I did. She nodded like she'd expected that. Give a short, awkward laugh. I moved out of Brandon's place, she said. I didn't ask why. It wasn't what I thought it would be, she added. I said nothing. That line, she'd used it before. Like realizing the grass was fake made it okay she'd burn mine down. I'm not here to make a scene, she continued quickly. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I looked at her. Really looked. And I realized something. She was still beautiful. But not to me. Not anymore. I didn't feel rage. Or sadness. I didn't feel the urge to fix or punish or even ask why. I felt nothing. You weren't sorry when it mattered, I said. You slapped me in front of strangers. You mocked me in private messages. You planned to humiliate me. And now that it's quiet, now that you're alone, you're sorry. She looked down. No defense. No excuses. I was stupid, she said quietly. I thought I needed excitement. Something wild. And now, I'd give anything to go back. But I know I can't. No, I said. You can't. She took a small step back, like something in her spine finally gave. Anyway, she whispered. I just wanted to say that. Take care of yourself. She turned, started to walk away. Nora, I said. She stopped, looked back. Next time you're bored, I said, read a book. Don't ruin someone's life. She didn't reply. Just gave the smallest nod and walked off. Her cart squeaked as she pushed it out of the aisle. I picked up the steak I came for, paid in cash, walked back to my car. No pain, no rage, just silence. And this time, it wasn't empty. It was mine. 3 months passed. Not fast, not slow. Just real. I stopped measuring time by wounds and started marking it with small things. The smell of fresh coffee, the sound of my shoes on clean hardwood, the morning light slipping across the kitchen counter. My apartment was quiet, plain, but mine. I deleted the apps, the social media, the old photos. I stopped tracking her life, stopped wondering what she was posting or who she was with. Let her write whatever version of the story helped her sleep. I was too busy living mine. I started running in the mornings, cooking simple meals, drinking black coffee on the balcony as the sun came up over the city. The silence that once haunted me started to feel like something holy, like a clean page. Kyle and I hit a bar one Friday. Just two brothers, some beer, no agenda. That's where I met Rachel. No flashy dress, no games. Just jeans, sneakers, and a slow, warm smile that didn't try to sell anything. We talked. Really talked. Music, food, weird dreams. And when I said I was divorced, she didn't flinch. She just asked, "Did it break you or build you?" "Both," I said. But mostly the second. She didn't try to fix me. Didn't rush anything. Just sat across from me like she already knew I didn't need healing. I just needed someone who wouldn't lie. We saw each other again. Then again. I didn't compare her to anyone. I didn't need to. Rachel never reminded me of what I lost. She reminded me of what I'd been missing. Peace. Softness. The kind of calm that doesn't need to prove itself. One evening, she asked, "Do you ever hear from her?" "No," I said. "And I hope I never do." And that was the truth. But sometimes, a memory would hit me in quiet places, her laugh at the dinner table, the way she used to trace circles on my chest. Not because I missed her, but because I'd once given my whole heart to someone who was only pretending to hold it. And that realization didn't break me. It freed me. One morning, I stood on my balcony barefoot, the wind moving through my shirt, and I felt something I hadn't felt in over a year, peace without waiting for the other shoe to drop. No tension. No hidden meaning in a late-night message. No slap waiting behind a smile. Just stillness. And in that stillness, I truly knew, I would never go back. Not to her. Not to the pain. Not even in memory. Because that chapter wasn't home anymore. This was.